Hello guys, Desirous here again, back with another episode of Breaking Gamefabe, and this time I'm going to try not to cough my guts up every 5 minutes. Okay, so, as you know, with the week 1 and week 2 Breaking Gamefabe, I've got that all covered in one video, but the last video I did just now, I'm doing these back to back, it was nearly half an hour just to get through 1 week, so I think from now on I'm going to go a week at a time, because a lot of stuff changed in week 3 and it came to a point where I just had so much to get through and it just took so long, but I didn't want to leave anything vital out. Depending on how quickly this one goes, I might do the pay-per-view preview separately as well. And going forward, I might just change the format of it properly. So I'll do it weekly slots and then a pay-per-view preview just before that goes out. And then I'll probably do a pay-per-view fallout review even, and then do the weekly shows. So let's get to it. Let's get to April week 4 and the final RCW heatwave before Anarchy. We see a recap of the assault on Desirous last week on Revolution. We then go to the arena for the pyro explosion and all that stuff. They welcome us to... I put Revolution in there, damn it! See, Heatwave's a new show, and sometimes I forget that it isn't called Revolution. I put that on Facebook and all, damn it. Typos. Before they can say any more, Roscoe Quinn's music hits and he makes his way to the ring to a chorus of boos, as you would if you hired someone to attack an academy guy. Roscoe grabs a mic and asks that the fans please don't boo him. This is kind of becoming it's kind of like his excuse me. Please don't boo me. Excuse me. Sandow has you're welcome. Vicky has excuse me. Roscoe has please don't boo me. He says that what he did was the actions of a desperate man. He says he couldn't bear the thought of Desirous having control of RCW and running it into the ground. I wouldn't. Roscoe says that his family's fine, it was just more mind games. Yes, the Blood Brothers didn't go after Roscoe's family. It was just more mind games from a sick man. I'll give him that one. I can be sick sometimes. Roscoe reiterates that Desirous will never control RCW, so we might as well cash the check. Desirous appears on screen to huge cheers. Apparently I'm a face now. I've got to be. I had, basically I'm a face now. I'd only been heel 3 months, but, you attack my son and you're fucked. Don't matter who you are. You blindside my boy and you've got to answer to the anti-god. Who, then becomes a pissed off father anti-god. So yeah, I'm pretty much a face now, or an anti-heel, and so that's how that's going. It was a story where I couldn't remain a heel, not if I'm trying to avenge my boy. It's just, a father avenging his child is not a heelish move, unless the child's a heel, but even then, it's commendable because you're looking out for your family. So anyway, Desirous appears on screen to huge cheers. He says that he can add assault to the list of Roscoe's bad business decisions, which include hiring someone to try and attack his boy to try and prove that Desirous is mentally unstable, hoping that Desirous will go batshit crazy and attack him, which I haven't done. Desirous says that his lawyers have built an even stronger case given Roscoe's actions. Roscoe says Desirous can go to hell, RCW is his. Desirous responds by saying that over the years he's made a lot of money from BWA, UWA and RCW. Desirous says the 35% he invested in RCW wasn't 35% of his money, it was a lot less. I'm a former world champion in 2 different companies, so yeah, the character would be a rich guy. Desirous says he isn't like Rex Wesley, always going on about how rich he is. I had to put that in because I didn't want to come across as a Rex Wesley JBL type. Desirous then says that he has the means to feasibly open his own company. Roscoe laughs, saying a four-man company wouldn't make very much money, the four men being myself, Dragasan, Wilf and Steinmetz, who he assumes are the only people that would join. Desirus responds by saying that he has a lot more than four people interested. He has everybody who walked out with him. That'll be Paul Haynes, Gary Gibb, the Megastars, the Scots, Betty, there's a few of them. Each wrestler is willing to leave RCW and join him if they continue to be mistreated here. This has Roscoe concerned, and he says there's got to be some way around it. Desirus says there is, a match at Anarchy. Roscoe refuses to fight Desirus, who says he won't be fighting Roscoe because of his match with Carl, Combat Matt. Desirus suggests each of them choose a representative for Anarchy. Whoever wins gets control of the 35% for the guy he's representing. Desirus says Roscoe has until the end of the show to make his decision. He either agrees or he risks losing a lot of valuable wrestlers. The screen then goes blank and Roscoe after a few minutes leaves the ring, and we go to the first match, which is Wilf with Steinmetz in his corner, defeating Rich's two bitches with Dirty Dino in his corner. Wilf offered a handshake after the match, but R2B refused. Technically Wilf and Steinmetz are faces now because they're on my side, and they're on the side of, I can't really call it justice, vengeance. A lot's changed, but there's still trust issues after everything that we did to Disco Dave, the two dirty bitches, even Carl, but Carl took it too far. So we go backstage with Robbie Flash and Martin Corby. Flash thanks Corby for giving him a chance to prove himself. Corby, however, is concerned about what Roscoe did to Desirus. This is because Corby's always had Roscoe's back and now is questioning that. And Brad Taylor. They're interrupted by Combat Matt, who says he did what was necessary. Combat says that Desirus, his keys aren't sensitive enough, will ruin their careers if he's allowed control. Then the lights flicker and Combat looks nervous. Combat leaves in a hurry as Corby and Flash wondering about the building's wiring. Could be Desirus playing supernatural tricks, or it could be just dodgy wiring. Wong McDonald defeated Hardcore Howie. Rematch from a couple of weeks ago, I think. Wong picks up the victory. Then we go backstage with C.W. Longley and Christian Fox. Long is talking about Sunday night, where he says he'll regain the Intercontinental Championship. Fox is preoccupied with his match, saying he's going to beat Brent Kitchen and get into the Hardcore title picture. Longley agrees, saying that winning those titles is only the beginning. Basically, I treat the Hardcore Championship with the same prestige as the Intercontinental. They're both the mid-card titles. The Hardcore Championship has a different set of rules to the Intercontinental Championship, but they're both treated the same. There's none of this 24/7 rule where someone will have 45 reigns in the space of a week or anything like that. It's not a comedy title. I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to treat it with respect. Dragasan was the Hardcore Championship for September, October, November, December. Nearly 5 months. And I've had the title nearly February, March, April. 3 months coming on. So it is a title I treat with respect. Anyway, Christian Fox failed to beat Brent Kitchen. Unfortunately. But, well, I say unfortunately, I'm a face now, so I should really be rooting for Brent. But, interesting match that. Christian Fox and Brent Kitchen, both BWA alumni. Roscoe Quinn returns to the ring with a mic. He says he thought about what Desirus said. Roscoe says that desperate men do desperate things, and now Desirus is desperate. Roscoe says there's no way he's going to risk his company against a sociopath. Roscoe repeats that RCW is his and nobody's going to take it from him. Cut to the big screen and the footage of Roscoe asking Combat Matt plays again. Then we see the footage of Combat attacking Brad Taylor on RCWA. The final footage is of Desirus being beaten down last week. A graphic then appears on the screen, asking who the real sociopath is. Roscoe seems nervous but repeats that he was desperate. Roscoe then says that Desirus' mind games don't scare him. All of a sudden the lights go out, and when they come back on, Desirus is standing behind Roscoe. That scene's in Story Designer. If I want to put it on YouTube, I might. Roscoe panics, falling out the ring as Cesaro says it's decision time. I'm surprised I got that out. Cesaro says it's decision time. I could have really fucked that one up. Cesaro says he wouldn't do what Roscoe did, attack someone's family. That goes back to the mind game thing, taunting him about his family but not actually doing it. Cesaro then says that his mind and morals could easily be changed if it's in the name of vengeance. Fucking hell, if I keep up with this vengeance thing, expect my skin to fall off and my hair to burst into flames. Ghost Rider reference. Roscoe, still panicked, agrees to the Anarchy match. Cesaro smirks, saying he'll reveal his representative on Renegade. But to me, Renegade isn't superstars. It kind of was the superstars thing where I'd give people who weren't on the main show a chance, but you know, I made a decision a while ago to integrate the storylines into Renegade as well, so they all follow the same formula, and they all meld together. Basically, Renegade was an extension of Revolution. Now Renegade is an extension of Revolution and Heatwave. In the main event, I had to do this match outside Universe because it only gave me 3 matches for that particular event. CW Longley defeated Arnie Sharp. Arnie Sharp, who gets a ridiculous pop with Yoshitatsu's entrance. And so we come to, whoa, not Renegade yet, RCWA, April Week 4. We see the intro video on Pyro as he announces welcome to RCWA. They talk about the pre-show, wondering who'll challenge TJ Gospel for the RCW Championship. We're about to find out, because Jimmy Coulter's music hits and he makes his way to the ring. He says that last week TJ Gospel retained the RCWA Championship against Rex Wesley. Coulter says that Rex has been bugging him for another rematch, but Coulter doesn't think Rex deserves one. Lost on the pre-show, he lost last week. Wins matter. Losses will cost you here. Coulter says the new #1 contender is the guy who cleanly beat TJ Gospel 2 weeks ago, Jez Clark. Coulter says TJ will defend against Jez in a no DQ match on the pre-show. And then we go to the first match of the night. Rufio, with Scorn, defeated Travis Stevens with Tyler Stevens. Basically, it's a switch from last week. Last week, Scorn with Rufio defeated Tyler with Travis. This week, Rufio with Scorn defeated Travis with Tyler. After the match, as Rufio and Scorn celebrated, they were jumped by the Stevens twins. Heat builder going into the match, simple but effective, I think. Backstage, Tufty Gordon is talking to Coulter when Robin Jax and Nick Blueberry walk in, arguing with Jacob Black and Seth Ronson. Both teams are arguing, wanting a tag team title shot. Coulter calms them down, saying that tonight Blueberry and Jax will face Lance Anderson and Robinson Lassiter. If they win, they'll face the Powerhouse on the pre-show. Now, you're probably wondering why the Powerhouse don't have to go through a match to get on the pre-show. They're former tag team champions. Yes, they've had their rematch, but they won plenty of matches prior to that. Originally, I had Blueberry and Jax against Tiger Power and Lassiter and Anderson against the Powerhouse, but the next match, Robinson Lassiter and Lance Anderson defeated Nick Blueberry and Robin Jax for Tufty Gordon. Obviously, it wasn't Tiger Power. I messed up there. That's my own fault. So, I've rectified that. We go backstage where Brad Taylor's pissed big time. Not drunk, pissed off. Dwayne Huntley walks up, asking if he's okay. Brad says nothing and walks away. Chris Partridge walks up talking trash about Brad, saying that Jay Cassidy is going to win the TV title because Brad can't keep his emotions in check. Partridge says Brad's such a crying little bitch that even his granddaddy can't stand him, and I will admit I had an hard time writing that. I did not like writing that. But I did. Because I know the end game. I know that, you know. Huntley tells Partridge to back off and they go nose to nose. Not really backing off, is it? Huntley challenges him to a match tonight, but Partridge suggests the pre-show. Huntley says to make it happen and turns to leave, but Partridge blindsides him. So I'm just filling in typos as I go, because this keyboard doesn't... Before he can do any real damage, Brad returns, going ballistic on Partridge as Huntley tries to restrain him. Eventually Huntley gets Brad away as Coulter steps in, saying they're in a tag team match next. The Syndicate, Jay Cassidy and Rambo Johnson, because Partridge is on his ass backstage, defeated Dwayne Huntley and Brad Taylor. After the match, Brad grabs a chair and tries attacking Cassidy and Rambo, but they bail. Brad stands in the ring even more pissed off as the announcers talk about the effects of Combat Matt's betrayal. Brad then grabs a mic and says he initially wasn't happy about his dad and granddad fighting at Anarchy, but has changed his mind. Brad says he has a message for Desaris: bleed Combat Matt dry. We go to the announcers, who say that Jason Hammond returns tonight facing Jez Clark. Hammond just disappeared. I don't know why. So wrapped up because the main feud was TJ and Rex and Brad and the other Syndicate members, that Hammond just got shifted to the wayside. So, maybe he was just taking time off, recovering from injuries or whatnot. The main event of the final RCWA before Anarchy, Jez Clark with Tufty Gordon defeated Jason Hammond with TJ Gospel. After the match, Robin Jax came to the ring, threw Hammond over the top rope and shook hands with Jez. Now, I'd established in writing that there was an alliance between Jax and Jez Clark, and also Nick Blueberry, all managed by Tufty Gordon. This little scene just confirmed it. It actually happened in the game. I'm kind of running it like a Heenan family type thing, where they're not a faction per se, but they're just a bunch of wrestlers that have the same manager. A bit like Ziggler and Swagger with Vicky Guerrero. They go on their own singles runs, but they sometimes they'll come together and they've got the same manager. Like what Bobby Heenan did when he had all those other guys, Andre the Giant, Haku, and try to think back. The 80s was a long time ago. And so that was the RCWA show. In my next video, I'll get to the pay-per-view and pre-show previews. So we're on to RCW Renegade, and I've got McAfee warnings. We see a replay of Desaris intimidating Roscoe into accepting his challenge. We then go to the arena as the announcers welcome us to the final Renegades before Anarchy. And in a switch from the Heatwave match, Steinmetz with Wilf as his manager defeated Dirty Dino with Rich's Two Bitches as his manager. We go backstage where Paul Haynes and Gary Gibb are exchanging banter regarding the number one contender match. Scorpion and Griffin Abel's approach, but Haynes and Gibb aren't impressed. Probably because they just got the number one contender spots handed to them. Scorpion says their opinion doesn't matter because come Bloodshed he'll be facing the RCW champion. Griffin chips in with, no, I will. Haynes and Gibb leave as Griffin wonders what he said. Then in the next match, Paul Haynes defeated Griffin Abels. Roscoe Quinn makes his way to the ring with CW Longley, Tyler Harris, and Combat Matt. Quinn says they're there for his safety. Desaris makes his way to the ring with Wilf and Steinmetz. Desaris says they're not here for anybody's safety. Desaris brings up Brad Taylor's mean streak on last night's RCWA. Says that, unlike his son, he's able to bottle his rage and channel it into darkness, making the burning flames ice cold until the time is right. Desaris, looking at Combat, says that time is Sunday. Desaris warns that Roscoe may have ended the career of not only Combat Matt, but also Jay Cassidy, because Brad will look at Cassidy and see his treacherous granddad. Combat says that Desaris forced him to do it, it's Desaris' fault. That's the thing with Roscoe and Combat, they really don't think they're in the wrong, they don't believe they've done anything wrong. You'll soon realise. Desaris tells Carl to keep running his mouth and he'll end more than his career at Anarchy. Combat shuts up. Desaris says it's down to business. The man representing him on Sunday is the man who beat Combat at Uprising. The man who Roscoe's guy has to go through is Dragasan. Dragasan makes his way to the ring and stands with the other Blood Brothers. Roscoe asks how they're going to determine what Desaris controls should Dragasan be lucky enough to win. Desaris then has to retain Dragasan. Dragasan, and says he owns approximately 1/3 of RCW, and there are 3 shows, excluding the RCWA. Dazaris says it's simple. If Dragasan wins, Dazaris runs Heatwave, leaving Renegade and Revolution to Roscoe. Roscoe agrees and announces his participant, Martin Corby. Corby doesn't come out immediately, but when he does, he takes a mic and refuses. Corby says he stood by Roscoe through everything, as alluded to earlier, but he's disgusted with Roscoe now. Roscoe tries to reason with Corby, saying Dazaris pushed him into this, but Corby just shakes his head and says no. Corby then drops the mic and leaves. Roscoe stands there stunned, but Longley whispers in Roscoe's ear. Roscoe then announces Christian Fox as his participant. Fox walks out and shakes Roscoe's hand, saying he'll defeat Dragasan and RCW will belong to its rightful owner. The 2 groups stare each other down before the Blood Brothers minus Dragasan leave. Roscoe's group minus Harris leaves. They're in the main event. Dragasan defeated Tyler Harris, because Tyler Harris was distracted by Sean O'Savory. Payback for that sneak attack. And we come to the final RCW show before the pay-per-view. We come to RCW Revolution, and we see a replay of Renegade where Dragasan and Christian Fox are announced as Dazaris and Roscoe's Queen's representatives respectively. We then go to the arena of the Pyro as the announcers welcome us to Revolution. 2 matches announced tonight are Dragasan and Ross Lee versus CW Longley and Christian Fox. That's 1 match. And Sean O'Savory and Robbie Flash versus Tyler Harris and Boshak. We then go to the ring for the opening contest where Scorpion defeated Gary Gibb. So, win-wise, advantage is, well, between the 4 men. I don't know really. You'd say Paul Haynes and Scorpion, because Haynes beat Abels, but Gibb and Haynes have a win over Scorpion and Abels, and Scorpion and Abels haven't really won many matches recently. Combat Matt is backstage trying to talk to Rich's 2 Bitches and Dirty Dino, but they're not interested. They were before Uprising. Dino says they might not like the Blood Brothers, but at least they're fighting a good cause. R2B says Combat sold out his own family, and that's not something they respect. Roscoe Quinn walks up saying the 2 Dirties need to show some respect. Dino says they haven't earned their respect, whereas the Blood Brothers are starting to. Roscoe says they'll learn some respect in their match tonight against Combat Matt and himself. Roscoe seems to be power tripping a bit. He really doesn't realise, he's so oblivious to what he's doing wrong. Ross Lee and Dragasan defeated CW Longley and Christian Fox. Ross getting the pin on Fox, which kind of avoids Longley getting pinned by Ross or Dragasan getting pinned by Fox getting pinned by Dragasan. We're backstage with Roscoe and Combat. Roscoe says that people are vilifying them for no reason, so they need to step it up. Come on! Combat agrees, saying he never sold out anybody, he only did what was necessary. Come on! They walk off, heading towards the stage. The camera remains stationary, and Brad Taylor steps out from behind a corner, an intense look on his face. Kind of going for the AJ thing there, you know, as she stalked Kane. That was awesome. But I like AJ and I like Kane, so, you know. The 2 Dirty Bitches defeated Combat Matt and Roscoe Quinn. After the match, Roscoe grabs a mic and asks the fans to stop booing him. He tries to talk with Brad Taylor. But Brad Taylor's music hits and he makes his way to the stage. Roscoe says Brad shouldn't be here and calls for security as Combat tries to reason with Brad. Excuse me. Brad stops on the ramp, then clotheslines Combat. Ain't payback a bitch. Bitch. He keeps up the assault as Roscoe shouts for security. On the big screen we see the security guards distracted by the Blood Brothers. There's only 2 on the game, so, you know, 2 against 4. The security guards try to get through, but they can't. In the arena, Bradley's combat looks at Roscoe and does his father's throat slash taunt that I didn't steal from the Undertaker, honest. Brad enters the ring as Roscoe tries to reason with him. Brad grabs Roscoe and hits him with the bloodline, which is a cradle tombstone. Brad does the throat cut taunt again before leaving the ring as security and EMTs finally make it through. In the main event of the night, Boshak and Tyler Harris defeated Robbie Flash and Sean O'Savory. So, and Boshak got the pin there, which spares on Flash, sparing O'Savory the pin. You know, I don't so much mind that O'Savory is losing because he's losing in competitive matches, and Harris's results are still being pretty much mirrored. Harris lost the night before on Renegades. So, you know, it keeps things going in an interesting way. I'll get more to that on the pay-per-view preview show that I'm going to do. And this one, I'm still going to cut it short here and do that separately. This one only took 13 minutes because I've pretty much explained everything that happened in the last week, and this one was easier to get through. So, I'm going to stop it here, and I will see you, well, you'll see me for the pay-per-view preview.